From the Fans Talk Wrestling family at fanstalkwrestling.com, this is episode 11 of Fans Talk Lucha and covers Lucha Underground Season 1, episode 21, which aired on April 1st, 2015. It's a lot of ones. My name is Garvin, and as always, we're joined by my wife.
Hello!
Fans Talk Lucha is a podcast series that is brought to you exclusively by the paid members of the FTW community. And if you head on over to fanstalklucha.com, you can now subscribe just to the FTL feed. We've split it into its own thing just in case you only want to hear our Lucha Underground conversations. Before we begin, we had another great week on YouTube as our friends DJ Clean Styles, Arctic Wolf 00, B Megs 19, SG Metal Attitude, Stony Guerrero, and Nick Alexander continued the conversation that we started here last week on FTL episode 10. Some great theories on the future of Meal versus Phoenix and Puma versus Hernandez by Arctic Wolf, as well as Nick Alexander. Nick Alexander also criticized the commentary team for their inability to praise the women wrestlers for their actual, wrestling ability. He noticed that every few things that was said basically could be equated to, damn, she's hot, which has become a really annoying trend that I've noticed too, Vampiro specifically.
It's common in wrestling, though. I mean, when I first started watching wrestling, all they ever talked about was puppies.
Sure, but
they did not mean puppies.
But if you hear what they're saying, gender equality, how they're pushing, how great they are as wrestlers, Matt Stryker does a very good job at that. It's a bit, it's a bit hypocritical when you've got Vampiro saying, the opposite.
I agree. I agree. How the women wrestlers look should have nothing to do with wrestling except to the extent that it has to do with their character.
And from the comments that you posted on Facebook and YouTube, it seems like no one regrets watching the first 20 episodes, the first 20 hours of Lucha Underground. So I'm really hoping that's a trend that continues. Obviously, we feel the same way. By the way, there was a rumor a few days ago about how season 1 of Lucha Underground would only go until episode 39. I reached out to Krista Joseph on Twitter and just to get confirmation on that. He did confirm season 1 is only going to go to episode 39. There is, rumors that they have been signed on for a second season. But at this time, there's no word on when that second season will begin. So we might have a break. We might not, but we'll find out. All right, so let's go into what happened this week. All right, this was a very segment-heavy episode. Lots of stuff happening with Dario Cueto. When we opened up, Dario was basically shining a title, and he was interrupted by Big Rick. Big Rick was followed by who we found out was Killshot and his cousin, Mac. Rick says that he knows that Cueto ordered the hit on him by the crew, and Cueto basically offered Big Rick, this opportunity to be one of the first teams entered into the new Trios Championship tournament. So it's going to be a new, it's a new championship title. It's like a tag team title, except for it's with 3-member teams. Really interesting. We haven't really seen this in the US, so it should be interesting how it goes. But yeah, basically, Big Rick and his team accepted, but then Rick was like, "You know why I'm here," and Cueto picked up 2 stacks of bills, handed like everyone money. It was really weird.
That was weird, and I don't know much about the history of these guys. To me, as someone who has just started watching wrestling more regularly, they are new to me. It seemed sudden that this person who's been wrestling on his own suddenly now has a gang. So maybe there's some kind of history that we're not aware of, and maybe he owes them money from some kind of contract that's outside what we've watched.
Yeah, I can't really remember there being a scenario where Cueto owed Big Rick any money.
Ooh,
I mean, there
maybe
was
it's workers' comp for that injury to his eyeball.
Well, there was that early, that early story where Big Rick was going to go after the briefcase, but Mundo took the briefcase that had the $50,000 in it or whatever.
We are so far beyond the briefcase. He'd get that money from Mundo.
Well, the only thing I can think of is that Cueto offered the money to the crew to take out Big Rick, but since Big Rick took out the crew, he got the money.
This seemed bad to me because it was not explained. Also, nobody got a receipt. You guys, that is not how to conduct business. Also, Big Rick, money. Pretty sure it's illegal to smoke indoors. At least it is in Ohio. You can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Breaking the law, not appropriate.
I don't know California laws, but still, it's a nice effect, though. Just because it is so,
it
weird.
Was kind of old-timey gangster.
Yeah.
But it struck me as odd because we never see smoking on TV anymore. And he was actively smoking that cigar.
All right, so the first match was Angelico versus Johnny Mundo. Mundo won via pinfall. This was a really fun match. We haven't seen Johnny Mundo in a few weeks. Lots of counters, lots of reversals. It seemed like these two guys were very evenly matched. What did you think about the whole thing?
I liked this match. The first thing I liked about it was that they had given up on this knee injury storyline they were trying to push with him. And every now and then he'd be like, oh yeah, my knee's supposed to be injured. They just glossed right over that and let him wrestle. And I was familiar with Johnny Mundo back from when he was John Morrison. I didn't know he could wrestle like this. I also didn't realize how tall he was, but he and Angelico seem to be physically very well matched. Like their legs are both so long. It was fun to watch them wrestle. They were just using their arms and legs like tools. It was very cool.
Yeah, for sure. Johnny Mundo can do a lot of cool things, especially with that parkour style. So we saw him basically jump and cling to the fence and then use that to propel himself back onto Angelico, or he jumped on the fence and then jumped over the fence in like a one quick motion. It was really cool. Really
it was
cool.
It was unexpected. I didn't know he could do that sort of thing. So shout out to Johnny Mundo. That was fun to watch.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a fun match.
And I also really like Angelico. The more I watch him, he is a little bit like John Cleese in that he knows he's gawky. So sometimes when he's going to fall, he doesn't just fall. He'll do this sort of like bending at the knees and at the waist wobbling thing. It's very slapstick. And the facial expressions he's making, I really like him.
Yeah, no, I'm
very
starting
theatrical.
I'm starting to get into Angelico too. I guess my main thing with this match, I thought it was interesting that it seemed like he controlled most of it.
Yes.
It was a lot of offense by Angelico as far as the counters go. So he would counter every move that Mundo would throw out there. Lots of like kicks to the head, kicks to the side, strikes. But yeah, he controlled most of the match, but still he picked up the loss.
It was a good match. I liked it.
All right, so then we saw a video package that basically caught us up to where the mysterious woman was. So about a month ago, she was kidnapped by this masked guy, the guy that we saw in the initial episode, and basically just kind of recapped. Yeah, it was like she recapped where she had been, what she had been doing. She introduced us to her kidnapper, El Dragon Azteca, and basically he promised her that he would teach her how to fight the Lucha Libre style. He does come from one of the first families of the Aztec warriors, or I forget the terminology they used or the phrase that they used. But yeah, I
was confused.
Well, okay, go ahead. Why were you confused?
I was confused because I finally realized that the lady in leather was the lady in the trunk. We had some problems where we weren't watching fully the intros and the last couple minutes of the episode, so we missed a lot of that storyline. So it suddenly clicked in my head that's what's going on. And she said that her parents were killed in a fire by someone, I presume maybe to be Mil Muertes.
No. It was the dude in the cage. Remember, she went through the door that went upstairs, and then she found the guy in the cage, and that was the day that she was kidnapped.
Oh yes, but see this.
It was a month ago.
Was she saying that her kidnapper was the one who's teaching her the ways of the Aztecs?
Yes.
Why did he have to kidnap her if she wanted lessons from him? Was that part of the lesson? No. Was how to be kidnapped? Does she have Stockholm Syndrome? Is this a cult?
What she said was that he stopped her from doing something that she was A, not prepared for, and B, would end up being fatal for her, which is, going after whoever this monster is that she was going to kill.
So rather than call the cops and her psychiatrist, he just duct taped her and threw her in the trunk of a car.
Yeah. Took
That
her
is
from the scene and then explained to her. He
awful
said
conflict
apparently
management.
he was there when her parents died. So he's like Catwoman when Batman's parents died, you know? He was like just in the alley, I think.
13-year-old street rat?
Yeah. I'm guessing.
What?
I'm guessing he was just like there in the escape ladder.
That's shady.
Stairway.
Okay, so when you read a murder mystery, the person who witnesses the murder from afar 90% of the time is not just a silent witness. There's always something going on, and my prediction is that he had a little more to do with this than, oh, I saw what happened. I'm going to prevent you from doing something stupid, little girl.
We need a little bit more backstory. Yeah, I agree. But right now, I'm interested. I'm interested to see where this goes.
Crazy. It looks crazy.
Story-wise, yes. But what this is going to lead to, at least from what we can tell, is we're going to get another female wrestler, which should be pretty cool because we need someone else in there to, add a little bit more depth.
We have been asking for another female wrestler. Maybe someone who's not a heel.
So I'm sure there was some subtleties there that you'll remind us.
Obviously something went over my head. Obviously.
But I'm interested. Also, the 60s style, like Bond montages of them like
Early
working
Avengers.
out. Yeah, very, very, very cool. Very funny.
Like maybe she's actually going to wrestle as John Steed. That would be cool.
Backstage, we had Alberto El Patron congratulate Johnny Mundo for his win. Lots of almost vague recollections that they both worked together in WWE. So like little jabs here and there between the two.
There was a weird butt shot in the middle too. I don't really understand what that was about.
Must not have noticed that. I wasn't.
Yeah. I noticed.
But yeah, basically it turned from a congratulations to a confrontation.
It was very passive aggressive. It was well done.
Yeah, they both basically attacked one another and verbally, and then
that was a good segment.
The odd piece of it was that Mundo called himself the face of the company.
Yeah, is he? He doesn't hold a title, right?
Doesn't hold a title. Doesn't have as many wins as Puma.
He hasn't wrestled in a few weeks either.
Yeah. I don't get where, I mean, obviously he's cocky. Obviously he's playing like that Hollywood type.
Maybe he was on a magazine or something that we missed because we don't live in California.
Yeah, it's a weird character that they're trying to push over with him that, he is cocky enough to say that he's the face of the company, and which is usually a heel tactic. It's a heel thing to say, especially when it's undeserved.
Well, and I could be wrong because I usually am, but it seems like we don't see a lot of him on the mic. And so to me, this kind of came out of nowhere because the last several episodes I can recall him and he was mostly just wrestling. There was no mic time. There was no private segment. So I don't know what he's talking about.
So at the top of the show, we saw Cueto basically add Big Rick and his team into this trios tournament. We didn't know who they were going to face. It kind of made sense that the crew is going to fit in here at some point. But backstage, after all that happened, Cueto talks to Sexy Star and says that while she, has lost her other teammates, specifically Pimpy and Mascaritas, he's got two other teammates for her and wants to put her into the trios tournament. And that is Superfly, who we haven't seen in a while, I think, probably at least a month, and Pentagon Jr.
And you told me a little something interesting because I was confused at that pairing, but you set me straight. Well,
this is outside of the story arc. And I didn't do the research to go back to see who made this comment. You know who you are. You let us know in the YouTube comments that in AAA right now, or at least recently, Pentagon Jr. and Sexy Star are tag team partners. So in that sense, it kind of made sense that they would go this route. But we'll talk about where it actually led to a little bit later on. But I did like the pairing. I did like the idea. It's basically three people that don't necessarily fit well together. these kind of makeshift teams just to kind of see how they
I did like that look on
together.
her face, kind of like really another bizarre group of partners.
Yeah.
Really.
But this led to the main event, which was going to be Sexy Star and her team versus Big Rick and his team. So I believe you said this a few weeks ago that they were going to lead to a feud between the two. And I'm starting to think that that's probably where they actually are going.
Ding,
Yeah.
ding. I might sound like an idiot, but I'm kind of psychic when it comes to wrestling writing, I think, you guys.
Drago versus Aerostar. We got it. We got the match we wanted. It was pretty much isolated in the card. They padded it with a lot of segments beforehand. So, that was very nice. This was a good match. Slower, a lot slower than what we were used to.
It was slower than I expected.
A technical style. So less flying around, more chops, more slaps to the chest, more mat wrestling and trying to, wear each other down. So I thought it was an interesting change in their dynamic, but overall I thought it was a good match.
They did some stuff that was precise, like having to land on the very outside edge of the ring and swinging in between the top ropes, stuff that would, to me as a non-wrestler, I think it looks like it would be difficult even for a trained wrestler to do. So I could appreciate the skill.
Yeah. And what was also nice was the commentary team did what we've wanted them to do for so long, especially after, you posted in the YouTube comments as far as where Aerostar came from, because one of our complaints was we wanted to back Aerostar, but it was hard to because we didn't know who this guy was. He was just kind of this random masked guy that could wrestle well, but there was no story to relate to. This week, we got that story. We got the history of where he came from, who trained him, why he's important, what he means to the business. So I thought that was very cool that they finally went in that direction. It took the fourth match out of the 4 out of 5 series, but it was nice. It was nice to hear that. The ending, though, was a roll-up pin, but like a weird crab lock type thing where Drago basically made it so there was no way he was going to kick out. Like he basically clenched his arms and legs together in this weird like lock that I've never seen before, I don't think.
It's kind of like what you do to the dogs when they've destroyed something and you're trying to get them to calm down.
Exactly like that. All right, so backstage, once again, Cueto talks down to Ivelisse, Son of Havoc, and Angelico. Obviously, they're all pretty much losers in some way or another. Ivelisse hasn't really won many matches or any matches at all. Maybe 1 or 2 here or there.
She beat Angelico, didn't she?
Right. But they were trading wins and losses. So Angelico lost this week, which was like his biggest match thus far. Especially up against a guy like Johnny Mundo,
the face of Lucha Underground.
Yeah, exactly. Son of Havoc has won twice in his career. In 21 episodes, he's won twice. He's lost every other match that he's had. So basically Cueto was like, basically saying he was disappointed with them and he was going to give them one more chance to make this work. And that was to work together in the trios tournament. So next week we'll get them in the trios tournament, which I think
such a good boss.
I think it's a very interesting
combination. He pits
combination.
them against each other. They're all cocky little bastards, right? So he pits them against each other and then they do kind of poorly because it seems like skill wise, they're, they all are good wrestlers, but then they feel badly because of all these expectations. And so now he's got their self-esteem low and now he's going to build them up again to do whatever he wants. He's like the boss of the century. The way he manipulates people, the way he works on them by using their flaws. I love him.
He's very good. He's very good at what he does. Overall, I'm really digging Cueto in general. I think he's a fantastic manager of talent, a fantastic owner. So yeah, I'm really digging where this is going.
I love the way the character's written, and I love the way the real person plays the character.
All right, main event, Big Rick, Mac, and Killshot versus Sexy Star, Superfly, and Pentagon. What do you think about this match?
That was good. I like the dynamic that we've got now where Big Rick isn't doing a lot of wrestling. He's kind of like the big boss in charge. He's not fun to watch. He's big, he's slow. But the other 2 wrestlers were so good. Like so unexpectedly good,
Mac
given their size especially.
Yeah, Mac is this overweight dude, out of shape.
Wearing this big white brief. It kind of looks like a diaper because it's white and it says Mac across the bottom.
Visually, he's out of shape. but the way he moved around the ring, his suicide dives, he did a kip up.
It just goes to show that you can't judge someone by how they look.
Very, very cool. So I think he's a good addition to the Lucha Underground.
Cool shot too. So light on his feet for someone who's so tall and lanky. I was impressed. Looking at the two of them, I just didn't expect, and knowing what Big Rick wrestles, like knowing his style, I didn't expect that those two would be so entertaining. So I like him as the boss, kind of directing them. It was a good dynamic.
It's a good direction. Yeah, I mean, it's a good combination because you've got the powerhouse, and then you've got the lanky guy that can fly, and then you've got the big guy that is your like in between. So, I like it. I'm not totally sold on Killshot, just because we've seen better, like similar shape to King Cuerno, similar shape to like almost like a in between of King Cuerno and Angelico.
I think it was the surprise factor because knowing Big Rick, my expectations were low. And also the way, in my head, they're another crew. Yeah. They're a 3-man group, so I expected more kicking and punching.
Well, you're going to have to get used to the 3-man teams because this Trios Championship, I think, is going to be pretty cool. It's a month-long tournament. I'm looking forward to it.
I liked what we saw today.
I think this will be cool. So Big Rick, Mac, and Killshot defeated Sexy Star, Superfly, and Pentagon. Pentagon Jr. tried to control the first part of the match. He did not want to be a part of this team. He actually opened up the match saying that he was going to win the title for his master despite the awful team members that he had with him. So
that was a great moment on the mic. I don't speak any Spanish at all, and he still got me excited.
Yeah.
The emotion he puts in it.
Lots of chops and slaps to the chest in this match. It seemed like everyone was in on it. Sexy Star got slapped in the chest, which got the reaction of a random fan of, "That's not right."
So loud. No one else was shouting.
Yeah, it was just
it was so
random
funny.
Fan. There's always one random fan, and that's very, very appreciated.
I liked how polite it was. It was such a polite heckle.
After the match, Pentagon Jr. went to break Superfly's arm, but Sexy Star made the save, so potentially a Sexy Star versus Pentagon Jr. match in the future. Sexy Star held her own. I thought she did a great job.
She did.
Yeah. So, all right. So, yeah, Arctic Wolf, last week on YouTube, you said, should Lucha Underground introduce more titles? That was a question that you asked us. We said no. But after this week, the idea of, I think our reservation was singles title. We didn't want to see another singles title. We didn't
want to see arbitrary titles.
Yeah. But I think a trios title is nice because that resolves one of the issues that I have, at least, which is there's so many people on the roster that we want to see. There's just a limited amount of time and you can't fit everyone in. But having a trios championship or, having like a trios match every week, you fit an extra 4 people in when you wouldn't have that time, normally. So yeah, Arctic Wolf, we were against it before, but I think this is a good move. All right. Wins of the week. What was your win of the week?
Well, besides random fan, which made me laugh out loud, probably Johnny Mundo. I was just really surprised to see him wrestle the way he has been, consistently doing so well.
Mine was the Trios title tournament, just the announcement that it was happening. The first match that we saw, the combination that we're going to get next week of Ivory, Son of Havoc, and Angelico. I think they're going to make a really good team, despite their differences. I think that's going to be a really entertaining match.
Going to be comedy gold.
Yeah. Fails. What was your fail?
I really liked this episode. I thought the pacing was fantastic. We had been missing out on some segments the past few weeks. We got those and our storylines back. If I had to come up with a fail, and this is totally stretching, the 20 seconds I heard of this new band this week, I didn't really like them.
Yeah, they normally have good bands.
And this might be a good band. We heard 20 seconds of it. So if I have to have a fail, that's my fail.
Yeah, El Bronx is very good. The other
MNDT.
Yeah, that one. She's decent, and she's not as good as El Bronx, but she's good. I like it. This week, yeah, it was just weird.
We might have just come in at a bad song.
Yeah. All right, so final thoughts.
No, I like this episode a lot. We have now had 3 strong episodes in a row. I keep thinking, oh, they're not going to be able to follow this, and they do.
My final thought, just a question for you, and that is, do you like the Trios Championship? Do you like this tournament, how they're handling it? Just the fact that they ended up bringing in a new title. Do you like that? Let us know. And don't forget, you can become a paid member of the FTW community by going to fanstalklucha.com and clicking the big green button. Just drop $1 a month or more, and we'll drop some awesome audio in your podcast feed every week. Let's keep the conversation going. You can reach us on Twitter, Facebook, G+, YouTube, as well as the comments on the site. All of that information is on fanstalklucha.com. And now that we've got FTL on its own iTunes and Stitcher listing, please do us a solid, leave a rating and review. Get us at the top of the listing, because right now we are the only active Lucha Underground exclusive podcast, and right now is as good as any time to let people know that this is where they should be talking Lucha Underground. See you guys next week.